What would you do if someone sabotaged a beloved tradition just to feed their ego? The small coastal town of Harborview buzzed with excitement for its annual Chowder Fest, a decades-old celebration where locals showcased their best seafood soups under twinkling lights and salty ocean air. Families gathered, ladles clinked, and the aroma of creamy clam chowder filled the air. But this year, a storm was brewing not from the sea, but from a newcomer named Karen, who claimed she was a world-class chef. Her smug grin hid a secret that would soon unravel in front of everyone. Karen arrived in Harborview a month ago, renting a quaint beach cottage and boasting about her culinary credentials. She told anyone who'd listen about her award-winning recipes and her supposed training under Michelin-starred chefs. The townsfolk, warm but wary, welcomed her to join the Chowder Fest. "Show us what you've got," said Old Man Jenkins, the festival's unofficial judge, his eyes twinkling with curiosity. Karen smirked, promising a chowder that would redefine their palates. Behind her confident facade, though, she was no chef, just a schemer with a plan to humiliate the town and claim glory. Her scheme was simple but vicious. Swap her watery, tasteless broth for the rich, creamy chowder of Maggie, the town's beloved cook. Maggie's recipe, passed down through generations, was the festival's crown jewel, winning every year for its velvety texture and smoky depth. Karen, jealous of Maggie's quiet confidence and the town's adoration, saw the festival as her chance to shine. She spent days perfecting her act, practicing chef jargon, donning a crisp, white apron, and even forging a fake culinary certificate to flash around. By the time the festival rolled around, she convinced half the town she was the real deal. The night of the festival was electric. Stalls lined the pier, each offering steaming bowls of chowder. Maggie's stall, as always, drew the longest line, her warm smile greeting every customer. Karen's stall, however, was a spectacle. She decorated it with gaudy banners proclaiming Karen's gourmet chowder and strutted about, barking orders at volunteers like a reality show chef. "This is how professionals do it," she snapped, stirring a pot of her watery concoction, a sad mix of tap water, wilted celery, and a single sad clam. Her real plan? Sneak into Maggie's stall during the judging and swap their pots, passing off Maggie's masterpiece as her own. As the crowd mingled, Karen saw her chance. Under the guise of inspecting the competition, she slipped behind Maggie's stall, her heart racing with adrenaline. She swapped the pots with practiced ease, her hands trembling not from guilt but from the thrill of deception. Maggie's creamy chowder now sat at Karen's stall, while Maggie's customers would soon taste Karen's pathetic broth. Karen's lips curled into a triumphant smirk as she returned to her post, ready to bask in stolen glory. But the universe had other plans. Enter Lila, a teenage volunteer with a sharp eye and a knack for noticing things others missed. Lila, who'd been helping Maggie all day, had overheard Karen muttering about teaching this town a lesson earlier that week. Suspicious, she kept tabs on Karen's movements. When she saw Karen linger too long near Maggie's stall, Lila's instincts kicked in. She didn't confront Karen outright. Instead, she quietly alerted Jenkins, who'd seen a share of festival drama over the years. "Something's fishy," Lila whispered, pointing at Karen's stall. Jenkins nodded, his weathered face unreadable. The judging began, and the tension was palpable. Jenkins and two other judges, a local fisherman and a food critic from the city, made their rounds. When they reached Maggie's stall, the crowd hushed, expecting the usual praise. But as Jenkins sipped the broth, his face twisted in confusion. This ain't Maggie's chowder," he said, his voice low but firm. The crowd gasped. Maggie, stunned, tasted it herself and paled. "That's not mine," she whispered, her voice trembling with betrayal. All eyes turned to Karen, who stood at her stall, feigning innocence but sweating under her chef's hat. Jenkins marched to Karen's stall, spoon in hand. He took a sip of the gourmet chowder and froze. The flavor was unmistakable, Maggie's recipe, down to the hint of thyme and smoky bacon. The crowd murmured, sensing a scandal. Karen's confidence cracked as Jenkins locked eyes with her. "Care to explain, chef?" he asked, his tone dripping with skepticism. Karen stammered, claiming a mix-up, but Lila stepped forward, her voice steady. "I saw her swap the pots," she said, pointing at Karen. She wanted to steal Maggie's recipe and pass it off as hers. The pier erupted in chaos. Locals shouted, some demanding Karen leave, others stunned at her audacity. Karen's face flushed crimson as she tried to deflect, spinning wild tales about recipe inspiration and honest mistakes. But the evidence was damning. Her watery broth sat in Maggie's pot, and Maggie's chowder was at Karen's stall. The fisherman judge, a gruff man named Tom, grabbed Karen's pot and poured it onto the pier, the thin liquid splashing pitifully. "This ain't chowder," he growled. "This is an insult." Karen's facade crumbled. She stood frozen, her chef's hat askew, as the crowd's anger swelled. Maggie, ever gracious, stepped forward, not to gloat, but to salvage the moment. "Let's share what's left of my chowder," she said softly, her voice cutting through the noise. The crowd rallied around her, volunteers scrambling to serve Maggie's real recipe. Karen, humiliated, was left alone at her stall, her banners flapping mockingly in the wind. She tried one last time to save face, muttering about misunderstandings, but no one listened. She sat, forced to sip her own watery broth, the bitter taste mirroring her defeat. As the festival continued, the mood shifted to one of unity. Maggie's chowder brought smiles, and Lila was hailed as the hero who saved the day. Karen, meanwhile, slipped away, her cottage lease canceled by the landlord who'd heard the story. The town didn't banish her, she simply had no place left among them. Her ego had led her to sabotage a tradition, but it was her own pride that drowned her in the end. The Harborview Chowder Fest went on, brighter than ever, a testament to community and honesty. Maggie's stall ran out of chowder by midnight, and Jenkins declared her the winner, as always. Lila, now a local legend, grinned as she helped clean up, her quick thinking a reminder that truth has a way of surfacing. The festival ended with laughter, music, and the clink of spoons, the ocean whispering its approval. What do you think? Can someone's ego blind them to the point of self-destruction, or was Karen just a victim of her own ambition? Share your thoughts on where the line between confidence and deceit lies.